Hey everyone, welcome to Office Hours with Cloud Posse, where we discuss the latest DevOps news, AWS announcements, and Terraform insights, all sourced from our sweetops community, plus a live Q&A that you can't find anywhere else. It's September 10th, 2025. I'm your host, Eric Osterman. Real quick, I'm the founder and CEO of Cloud Posse. Cloud Posse sells AWS reference architectures that get you production ready in just 2 weeks. So if you're curious to learn more, go to cloudposse.com. Now, how can you maximize today's session? First off, our format's very informal. You can engage as much as you'd like and ask questions. And if you're curious about any of our open source tools like Atmos, this is a great place to ask. For those on the recording, we host these calls live, so don't miss out. Join us live by going to cloudposse.com/officehours. Just enter in your email and you'll get an invite for the next event. Now, I do have one ask. If you find any portion of today's session valuable, you can go ahead and share it with your team. Head over to youtube.com/cloudposse, and there you'll find the recent recording posted in a few hours. So let's get started with the tech news. So here's what caught my attention this week. First was an announcement. I think it happened actually a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago. This is pretty typical, obviously, when there's been a big acquisition like this. The CEO's handcuffs are presumably unlocked, and he's out of there. So I don't think there's anything else behind it other than, hey, that's what I'd be doing. I don't know that it's been announced who's going to step in as CEO after his departure. Another interesting one, ChatGPT feeling the heat finally adds MCP client support. So right now it's limited release, only available in the web version of ChatGPT for Pro and Plus teams. But what this means is kind of like the Claude equivalent of ChatGPT. You can now add all your own MCPs directly to ChatGPT. And they give you examples how you can use that, creating calendar events, opening pull requests, closing issues, doing all the standard stuff that you want to do with an MCP outside of doing it in your editor where, there's probably the most value. Let's see, did this get forked again? Go. So good and bad news. We've been big fans of Arc. That's the browser that you see me using right now. Arc is pretty awesome because you can organize all your tabs and bookmarks into folders, and it really makes it feel like an operating system based on the web, where you have all of your apps basically here on the side. You have all your profiles along the bottom. And then Arc announced, I don't know what it is now, 6 months ago, that, hey, all, so we decided that Arc was only interesting to power users, and basically that's not an addressable market that you can make money off of. So we are just going to build the browser for everyone else, an AI-centric browser. For me, that's the one thing I turn off when I use Arc, or all the AI features. I don't find them useful. And the announcement was a big, big letdown. And since then, I've been wondering what my replacement was going to be. And I started looking at Vivaldi, started looking at a couple other options. There's a very similar implementation of Arc based on the Firefox engine, but then my browser plugins that I've been using wouldn't work. And I really didn't want to make that switch. So good news is that the browser company, the company behind Arc, has been acquired. The bad news is it's by Atlassian, but hopefully they are, as big fans of Arc, going to keep it going and not make it the next slow ass piece of software like Jira. So good news for all of you using Arc. Now it is a bona fide solution. It's got at least a new lease on life. Any questions on the Arc announcement?
I was curious as to what business reason would there be for Atlassian to acquire Arc or the browser?
Yeah, I think they go into it a little bit here. I don't recall after reading it. I read it earlier this week. The only thing I remember was that Arc was incredibly popular inside of Atlassian, and the Atlassian engineers were basically saying, "Hey, can you guys just please just buy Arc?" And that's that's pretty cool when you have that much money. You could just say, screw it, we're just going to buy Arc." Now, I'm sure a business has other responsibilities than satisfying their engineers, such as to their investors. So there's got to be another play here with what they're doing. That said, I bet, they must have tremendous overlap with the types of users that also would like Arc. It's not a random acquisition in that sense, so I could see it augmenting their portfolio. What is they bought that video selfie recording company? I forget what it's called.
Zoom, I think.
Loom.
Loom, yeah, exactly. Zoom would have been an interesting one, yeah. But Loom, yes, Loom they did buy, and I'm wondering if, this is somehow going to tie into all that.
ClickUp had tight integration with Loom right before that, and then they cut off Loom and put their own video chat thing in.
Oh, is that was the prequel to what happened?
Right before Atlassian bought Loom, ClickUp had pretty tight integration, and then once Atlassian bought it, they said no more, and then they did their own.
Oh,
ClickUp did their own. Yeah.
So ClickUp, yeah. So ClickUp is the other popular project management software.
One tool for everything, supposedly.
Yeah.
My gripe with ClickUp is that they have a ticket open from 2019 where you can't use the API to create a custom field, which now with the agentic stuff, that's like a big slowdown. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never, I see ClickUp advertised absolutely everywhere. I've never come across one of our customers or anyone else using it, even though it's ginormous, apparently. We're using Linear and really love Linear.
Linear, no custom. Again, you're going to get me started on custom fields.
No custom fields through the API on Linear.
They're pretty opinionated. They're one of the most opinionated ticketing systems I've seen. Yeah, Linear. Who's using them? What is it? Rivian? Rivian? Yeah, Rivian uses them. The auto thing.
Yeah, I come across it all the time. And surprised to learn that, this company, that company, but I don't have it off the top of my head. All right. Here's a small one. I honestly didn't go too deep into it. I shared it only because merge queues has been a frequent topic vis-a-vis Rishav here. We have another post, I think, or video or update to share from the IaCConf from Rishav on that. So arguably, Mergify was one of the first providers of merge queues. We use a lot of Mergify at Cloud Posse and across all of our repos, but we don't use their merge queue solution. Personally, I can't stand their merge queue solution. It requires creating a duplicate PR. So now you have 2x the number of PRs in a repository. They basically created a net new PR with all the changes merged in from main and run the test that way, and then they manage it. But now that GitHub supports it natively, I don't see much value, even though they will disagree with me on Mergify's merge queues. Anyways, if you're not using merge queues, definitely something to look into, especially if you feel like your merge velocity is not fast enough because you require branches to be up to date. Merge queues exist to solve that problem. So perfect segue into another pitch for you, Rishav.
I was just going to say on the previous article, this is too cringy for me to look at. For the previous article, we were just looking at
Good day, everyone.
Hold
Thank
on, let me
you.
mute that. Yeah, go on.
Oh, no. We were just looking at it at work, and I was wondering. So the blog article is posted by Mergify, so of course they have an incentive to advertise themselves, their products, their offerings, and I feel like those are sometimes the best kind of folks to do a blog post on because they are incentivized to make it as accurate and comprehensive as possible, while at the same time the reader knows that they are gonna try and downsell their competitors, and you just have to be aware of that. And as you mentioned, they did mention GitHub merge queues around halfway through, and they say many good things about it. Absolutely true. And then they also mentioned two features specifically, which GitHub merge queues don't have. One of which being you can't prioritize PRs in the queue, and the other being you can't batch merge PRs in the queue. Both of which are incorrect. You can do both of them. You can definitely prioritize PRs if you want to while they're in a queue, and you can also batch them, albeit you have to do it ahead of time. You have to configure it, but you can set that up. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I can imagine GitHub the GitHub merge queues really must have done a number on Mergify and similar businesses who are trying to do the best they can in that space.
Yeah, I mean, it is always a little sad. I feel for companies building popular features on top of the platform only for the platform then to see that and marginalize that feature.
It's always a tricky one. Like on one hand, it's always great. Like, oh, look, we have clearly done a great job. Otherwise, the company
Yeah.
wouldn't have absorbed it into their native offering. But also, kind of sucks because that was your whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was one of their big things, but that came along much later. I mean, to me, Mergify is mostly about having all the rules that you can configure like we do at Cloud Posse.
Right.
So having they have a pretty lightweight DSL based in YAML.
Mhm.
And let's see, where's that Mergify? So here's our Mergify config, and it's up to 550 lines, and none of this has anything to do with merge queues. So
Right.
as far as that relates, therefore, a ton of value still for us.
Gotcha. That's quite intense. And is that just for one repository?
So Mergify is cool. I think it has a functionality similar to other Probot based frameworks where you can have an include from a centralized organizational config. So we have a open source version of this Mergify config. So this applies to all of our repositories. So that's also arguably why it's so large.
Gotcha. So it's a bit like Renovate Bot in that regards.
It is. Yeah, exactly. In terms of configuration, obviously,
Yeah,
it's all
the
very
configuration.
yeah.
Gotcha. I wasn't aware. This is really, this is much more interesting than just the default GitHub merge then.
Yeah, so this is what we use it for a lot of community interaction things. So like, in this case, we have a repository that we've more or less archived, but we haven't archived it because we actually want, if we have to make an emergency fix or something, we want the repository around. So what we did was we just created a Mergify rule, for example, to auto close any PRs that are open with a message saying, hey, this repository has moved. So doesn't leave people in the dark. That was one interesting use case. Automatic
Nice.
keeping pull requests rebased, so you learn faster when you have merge conflicts. Lots of things about commenting on PRs or closing stale PRs. If something's conflicted but nobody's pushed anything to it for a couple weeks, then hey, just close it. At this point, that person's moved on, and we can always reopen it. So this is
Gotcha. Stale issues.
exactly stay on top of all the pull requests that we get.
Gotcha. Oh, very neat, actually.
Cool. And we had talked about Rishabh's work on using merge queues with OpenTofu specifically. His talk was a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago. So if you're interested in that, that's been published now by the IaCConf. IaCConf being run by Spacelift, big backers of OpenTofu. Then Michael shared this. This was an exciting announcement. As everybody running Atlantis is freaking out right now, they got to make sure this is disabled. You can now exec into EKS tasks the same way you can exec into Kubernetes pods. But the interesting nuance here is that in order to exec into a Kubernetes pod, you need to have API access to the cluster, and that cluster is presumably deployed in a VPC. I'm reading between the lines here, and I'm just guessing because this is an API functionality of AWS. I'm guessing, therefore, that you can, if you have CLI access to that particular capability and IAM permissions, you can exec into a task. So unless you have specific blocks preventing that behavior from, say, I don't know if you can restrict it, for example, to network blocks or what other options there are other than IAM. But one of the challenges here is that, like, if you're running Atlantis in a task, that is a God task. It has, IAM permissions to do pretty much anything because you need pretty much anything to do Terraform. That's a major risk.
Yeah, I share this one. This was kind of interesting. I mean, the big thing for this one is it's available from the console. Some time ago, well, back in the early days of ECS, you couldn't really do anything with your task. It was kind of a lot of hurdles you had to jump over. But then from the CLI, you could exec into a
Okay,
task.
got it.
Yeah, you could
You could always do it through the CLI. Got
yeah,
it.
and it's all IAM controlled indeed, and you can put your whatever sort of controls you want to put on there. But the difficult part was you had to find the cluster, you had to find the service, you had to find the task within the service, and then you could actually execute the command to exec into the task. So now I guess it's a little bit easier. I haven't actually tried it yet because all my scripts just do it from the CLI. And oddly enough, I had one that was like YOLO. It was literally called YOLO because I never knew what task. It just randomly picked the task, and it's just like, hey, connect me to it. Especially if it's a service that's running like 3 or 4 same tasks, just different copies of it or whatever. Then I didn't really care. I just needed to check something. But if you really need to dial into one specific task, it's probably easier from the console because you can see all your running tasks. Maybe you could see the one that has the problem that's happening, and then you could just attach to that one, exec into it, and do what you got to do. From the CLI, it's a little bit more ambiguous
Yeah.
because you kind of have to figure out which one is which. So I would just YOLO into the service and just pick one. But this simplifies that. At least I hope it simplifies that by giving you access from the console.
All right. Well, thanks for setting the record straight and giving the use case I could see. Now that you say it, I remember when the console access for ECS tasks came out, there were a number of little utilities that came out that made like selecting that a lot easier. I remember now. So yeah, I understand now that this is
Yeah.
for the web console. What was dev.conf packages? I realized that would be something interesting for us to look at again. I thought we had one in. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that one, Mike. Last announcement that I saw actually was a few weeks ago. I thought it was interesting. The Kubernetes project itself, with Falcon being one of the core contributors or top 1% here in Reddit, but also a core maintainer of Kubernetes, originally from Google, that they are actually reaching out. Hey, everyone, please help us test the alpha releases or the pre-releases of Kubernetes. It really sucks to make a big release only to find out that it breaks something for some people, and not enough people are basically testing the alpha releases or the pre-releases, so they don't actually learn what they need to learn until it's too late. I found this a cathartic comment. We maintain Atmos, and sometimes everything works fine for us, what we do, how we use it for all of our customers. But there's a lot of people who use it not the way we use it or intended to use it, and that's not wrong. It's just nothing we test. So having that early feedback is really nice. And I'm curious what came of this comment. All right, Michael, anything else interesting this week?
Not necessarily. I got questions for Q&A, but I'll hold on till then.
Cool. Rishab?
I was just gonna say, these things are so tricky, like getting early feedback, testing your alpha, beta releases. And more often than not, people are just so too scared to use any realistic loads. It's just hard to kind of get through this. I guess how would you solve it? I guess just have a lot of automation in place, try to account for the edge cases, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What else could you do, I guess?
I know what didn't work for we asked everyone, hey, since there's so many crazy ways people are using Atmos, if you guys could share like a cleaned version of your Atmos configurations with us, that'll help us build more rigorous tests for all the different scenarios and things you're doing. But it was crickets on that. I guess we could ask again. But yeah, I think it's well, taking one step back and just getting nerd sniped by the question, what there is a database that was designed from the ground up to be distributed and fault tolerant, where they built it with 100% test coverage and statement coverage, and it made it one of the most reliable databases out there. I just, the name is escaping me right now, and I think they were just acquired. Anyone know what database I was referring to?
It's not going to be Databricks, is it? No, it's going to be Superbase? No.
No, I don't think it was that one.
Is it a Postgres derivative?
I believe it might have spoken the Postgres wire protocol, but it was built from the ground up. Yeah, it's escaping me at the moment. Maybe it'll get me. But what was interesting about it were these really hard problems in distributed systems. They didn't have them because they had solved it through the entire process, building it. So they had tests for absolutely every single thing, and it made it incredibly reliable and performant at the same time. I guess my point now, that's a lot harder to do retroactively to any project, especially any project at the scale of Kubernetes. But that's an interesting idea, right? Where you actually have, well, then I guess it's off by one. Then you got to make sure that your tests are testing what you intend. But if your tests aren't testing what you intend and you have 100% coverage, then I suppose there are no bugs. Yeah. All right, Michael, you want to share? Oh, I think it was called Foundation DB. Was that it? Foundation DB testing. Yeah. Anyways, what I was paraphrasing, I believe, is Foundation DB. Hopefully, I got it right. But it was interesting when I learned about it. All right, Michael, what was your question?
Oh, if you're in Q&A, I'll wait until then. Otherwise, yeah, I can share my question now if that's appropriate. So I'm helping somebody on a project that it's a monorepo. It's got a lot of developers, a lot of long-lived branches, and they're having a lot of conflicts as they merge, from one branch to the other, merging back into the mainline branch to run tests and everything. So I'm just trying to give them best practices to minimize merge conflicts. And yeah, really, I just kind of wanted to bounce off the congregations, like what are some practices you're using to minimize conflicts on similar repos. Um, I'm looking at like the Git attributes file. There was one feature that I hadn't heard of. It's like the Git re, which is like it helps it remember previous um, refactors or previous merge conflict resolutions. Um,
Huh. What re is what?
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the same thing that I said. I'll see if I can find the
Re
command
what?
to add it. Yeah. But so those are like a couple things that I came across right out of the gate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of wanted to see what other folks were using to minimize merge conflicts.
I think anecdotally, what has helped us, we are by far immune from it. I think it's improved as we have adopted this, and this what I'm going to share as an example for Go. Similar things will exist for other languages. But what we've done is enforce much smaller files with much smaller functions, with much less complexity per function. So that means that the logic is more distributed, and hopefully the impact of making changes to the code is impacting a simpler piece of code, and that simpler piece of code is easier to merge. Now, if multiple teams are working on the same exact lines of code consistently, they're in the problem, and that's probably more procedural than anything else. Than working on concurrent features affecting the same code. Anyone disagree or agree or have other ideas?
I can't agree or disagree, but I can say we had this GitHub action workflow that run on a schedule that doing a rebase on all open PRs. That way you make your, your feature branch at least sync with main, but it's not the best thing to do, but yeah, it's something. Other thing we keep in mind, we use like short-lived, very specific feature branch.
That's true. That's a big one.
Yeah, and the rebase like schedule make it easy also. So these are my two points. Yeah.
Bringing it full circle, then going back to Mergify, this is one of those things Mergify can help with. Rather than making it time-based, make it the number of commits behind main, and that's configurable, of course. So this will Mergify can automatically rebase your pull requests.
All right, and this will be my naivete for looking at an Atmos config. I believe this is Atmos.
No, this is Mergify.
Mergify. Okay, I'm sorry. But Atmos can run Mergify.
Well, Mergify is a GitHub app that you install oh yeah, you're not using GitHub.
Well, I mean,
a CLI is, I'm not sure if it's a CLI.
yeah, for this particular project, they are not using GitHub, but I wonder if like a Docker version of it could be applied.
Yeah. Well, and also, what platform do they use?
They're on Bitbucket pipelines.
Let's see if Mergify supports Bitbucket.
And the cool thing with Bitbucket though is you could pretty much, if it's a container, they have their concept of actions are called pipes. And basically pipes are specifically wrapped container, instances. So if there's anything that can run in a container, you can sort of wrap it in the Bitbucket shell or cellophane, whatever you want to call it, so that it can run in a pipelines workflow.
Yeah, so so that's very similar to GitHub Actions, how you can have container steps that run in a container. So yeah, I'm not sure conclusively if it supports it. There's SEO content at least written for it, but I don't think they support it. So yeah, some container-like solution probably.
Yeah. Well, no, I can take a look at it.
Yeah. Interesting, they don't say that Mergify doesn't work with it. I have a question for everyone before I go the scripting route or something else. CodeRabbit, we've been using it for a long time. CodeRabbit is AI-based code review. And I feel like it's just gotten better and better and better, especially at the languages that we are predominantly using other than Terraform. We are not subjecting anybody to it right now in Terraform, but we are using it for all of our Next.js React projects, as well as Atmos, for example, and so forth. The challenge that I find with the feedback that you get with it is feeding that back into your agentic editor and having it propose, the fix or consider it invalid, which the editors can do as well. And right now, I've just been copying those back and forth from Mergify. So like if we go to GitHub.com, Cloud Posse Atmos, and we look at a pull request, like this upcoming Atmos auth implementation. Oh, so here, for example, it's identified an issue, and then it has a prompt that you can send to your editor. Anybody else using CodeRabbit like this? Anybody else seen any tooling to make that easier? I was kind of hoping there was a CodeRabbit MCP or CodeRabbit CLI that I could just query GitHub and get the CodeRabbit comments out of before scripting, reading GitHub issue comments and extracting it.
I can add some information to this. So we used CodeRabbit in the past, but we switched it to Anthropic Cloud. So developers using Cloud Code locally, and Cloud is integrated as application with the GitHub.
Oh.
And then the trick here is that we use GitHub MCP, and then with the Cloud Code, we ask him to pull the comments from BRs, whether it's from Cloud itself or from senior engineers, and then it's gonna have the context it need, and then fix it locally and even push it back with a nice commit message, I guess. So that's how we do it.
That sounds interesting. And that's the other problem I didn't mention, but you remind me. Then when you fix these things, saying what you did to fix it and resolving the comments, so you have a history of that. Because otherwise you go through trying to figure out, well, was this fixed? Was this addressed? And that's been annoying. So I've been really curious about the code review feature in Claude Code. Are you saying you're liking it better than what you had?
Yeah, exactly. Because we have cloud.md files that the source of truth of everything we need, like linting, formatting, all the test cases, everything, as so it doesn't lose context,
Yeah.
So that MD file is aware locally and in the BR. That's also another trick we do. Yeah.
That's interesting. You said something else I wanted to follow up on, but I forgot. It'll hit me later. Was somebody else raising their hand or going to say something?
No, not a question, and only if there is spare time. I am very late to this, but I only just heard about Digger HQ or Digger.dev, which looks like a GitHub action-based workflow for helping you provision Terraform, OpenTofu. For me, it looks like a like-for-like replacement for Atlantis, but using GitHub Actions instead. Has anyone come across this before? Have you seen this before?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're very vocal. They're very, I guess, because I follow them on LinkedIn. But there's kind of the taco mafia, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's obviously the OG Spacelift. There's Terra Team, TerraMate, Digger.
In those cases, I kind of thought that those guys were focused on the Terraform CLI binary side of things. Like they're more focused on making the CLI do things
No. They're more on the other side of it.
like pipelines and workflows.
Yeah, they're more about automating continuous delivery of Terraform.
Gotcha. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And Digger is on the same board.
And Digger is in the same, in the same boat there.
Gotcha.
There's also, there's more that I see coming out. Feeling it seems like almost weekly, but definitely every month there's a new alternative. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was a bit curious. I was reading up on this as well and looking at seed round. That's always exciting. And I remember in one of their marketing materials, I think I saw something about this being cross-platform across GitHub, GitLab, which sounds great. And then I was reading the docs, and it's very clearly we only support GitHub at the moment. We will support the other platforms eventually. It's like, okay, what are we
The
doing here?
challenge is that the other platforms just don't have as many nice integration touch points as you do on GitHub. Plus, it's like the GitHub's obviously the 800-pound gorilla in the space.
Right.
Build for that, and you get 95% of the market probably.
Fair.
But yeah, I believe they have some other things going on as well coming out. I spoke to them recently, but I'm not sure if they said it was announced yet or not, so I won't bring it up. So yeah, Digger, Terra team. I forget if it's IO or .com. Yeah, Terra team with now GitLab support. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention Scalar. They were actually one of the very first Taco alternatives out there. They reversed engineered the Terraform Cloud API very early and built it into their product. Oh, it looks like they have a nice new look and feel here. That was one of my very superficial jabs at Scalar. I did not like their UI, but now it looks clean. Spacelift.io. They are one of the main backers behind OpenTofu. Yeah, obviously Scalar has also played a large role in that. M0.com, I guess, is it?
So the TACOS, the TACOS, that's each of those letters stands for a different company name. Is that right?
No. So nobody really knows this origin story, but I know it actually. I was part of it. So Sebastian, who's the founder of Scalar, reached out to me. This is like in 2019 or something, and said, "Hey, we should do a bake-off where we get all these companies together and show off what they can do, and we'll do it on office hours." So we did that. We pulled it off on office hours. The recording's on YouTube, but it's obviously very out of date now, and everybody's gone way past that. But the problem was there was no label for this category of software. And how do you announce something when you can't even describe what it is?
Right.
So Sebastian told me, I've been thinking about this name. It's a Terraform automation and collaboration software, or tacos for short. I said, yeah, I don't really like it. But anyway, we went live with it, and now it's stuck, and like everyone is using it. So sometimes I think because we were the first ones to start using it on that office hours, we're credited with it, but it was really Sebastian at Scalar.
Right. Okay. It just came from there. Oh.
Cloud Posse, M0, Spacelift, Scalar. Video so old, it's not even ranking anymore. Wow.
Scrolled past it. It was like the second result.
Was it? Oh, I think this is a special one on, or like an outtake, maybe.
The third one instead.
Yeah, this was hit. Yeah, demo day 4 years ago. So that was the OG introduction for that. Yeah. Can you believe it? We've never missed a day since then, 4 years ago, of office hours. All right. Anything else? Any other interesting questions like that? Rishav or anyone else? Oh, Isaac?
Oh, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay. Let's check it out.
But actually, I have a question now that I think about it. Does anyone have experience using server-sent events on AWS infrastructure at a large scale?
Nope. Not here.
All right.
Michael, did you get all your questions answered?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for the feedback from the folks on the merge conflict. So thank you.
Yeah, let us know what you end up implementing on that.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do.
Maybe out of scope question, but I mean, it's part of DevOps and SRE. So if someone is using Datadog and do the transition to OpenTelemetry, I think it's not easy, but if someone did it, maybe some feedback, some
Open
advice.
telemetry with Datadog or open telemetry without Datadog?
I mean, I look at it, Datadog support both, but we are planning to, migrate from Datadog to something else.
Yeah, something affordable.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Getting signed out here. Let's see.
They've made quite the reputation for themselves.
They have.
While a bit unrelated, I mentioned our employer is going through the HashiCorp exit. We started off in 4 digits about a few years ago, and now the contract renewals is well into 6, which
Wow.
is, and it's like it's around 800, so almost a mil, which ridiculous. Everyone's of course heading in back out. But one thing we are surprised by is how quick their legal team is, and it makes you wonder. We are not the only ones going through this, surely. They must be just going through this very, very fast, very quickly with a lot of employee companies.
I didn't get the tie-in with the legal team aspect.
Oh yeah, so their contracts, you know how they give you paperwork, you have to sign it about, hey, we're going to destroy all your binaries. All of that we've never seen it go any faster. Like it's daily response rates. There is no back and forth spanning weeks. It's just, hey, yeah, within minutes they're on there. Which
Wow,
I don't know, that's something that I haven't experienced before.
that's pretty nice. Yeah.
But yeah, we went through the same thing with Datadog many, many years ago, and that was a lot more painful since it's a monitoring agent. You have to install it every single where, and that's a lot harder to take away compared to, hey, we can't use Nomad
What are you
Enterprise.
doing about your state though? Were you not using HashiCorp's state backend?
We weren't, no. So I don't know if we're the only ones, but we really got HashiCorp Enterprise for the Nomad and Vault side of things. We never really made use of any of the Terraform Cloud or Terraform Enterprise.
Oh, gotcha.
The Terraform bit we were just fine to do with, I don't know, Atlantis, GitHub Actions, anything works, but it's the Vault we needed enterprise support for.
And that's where the renewal price is so expensive, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. No, that is interesting. And that makes a lot of sense that's where they are tightening the belts or increasing the cost of the license for Volt because it's used by enterprises, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is one of those things we were wondering. We actually don't know what happens if you don't renew. What happens to the binary? Does it seal your vaults for good? Does it delete everything? What happens? We don't actually know.
All your secrets belong to us.
Yeah, do they just publish it on Google? Like, what's the end case?
Yeah.
Oh, there's another question.
Yep. Isaac, you want to read your question here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've heard about the NPM fun this week. There was one a while back with NX, etc. I'm curious if anyone has been looking into sort of these. There seems to be a bunch of new security startups whose job is mainly we're going to be a mirror for you for the package registries, and we'll make sure that they're safe, etc., etc. Has anyone looked into these? What names are you hearing, and what experiences are people having with those?
That's a good question. I'm interested in too.
The plan for the little bit of node that we do have is just to set up our own local one that just mirrors, and we just keep it locked to certain versions with just the standard security tools running over it, make sure nothing's got added.
I hadn't heard of socket.dev, obviously, Artifactory, Nexus, Cloudsmith is another big one. In the end, it's like everyone needs it, and yet there's a million things we all need that are all important. And it's hard to rationalize that, well, this is security, you have to pay for it. It's like, if you dangle anything that parents have to do for their kids, or they're bad parents, they'll probably buy it. This is in that category. And yet we are just paying up the wazoo for SaaS on so many of these layers, and I don't know what to do. So I don't know. I'd be also curious, are any of these companies providing this for open source projects? Anyone know? Free for open source.
We're just talking about it, Jeremy. Kind of, not exactly, but I don't know any that are free for open source. I actually just started looking into this whole thing today. I think that there's a slight difference between things like Socket, where the focus is on security as opposed to the established players like the Nexus and the Artifactories of the past. But yeah, I'd like to do a proper bake-off.
So our Artifact, yeah, bake-off would be interesting. But yeah, Artifactory also has their X-ray feature, which is competitive with this.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. All right, good question. All right, last chance, final questions. Any other interesting topics? Oh wait, Jeremy says, since I was a little late to the call, did anyone go over the recent NPM hack where Chalk was that the NX vulnerability, Jeremy? Or anyone else?
I think it's a different one following the link. I saw this as well. This was about debug chalk. I think from what I could gather, the author, a prolific author, he got duped. He got a 2FA phishing email from NPM, clicked it, filled it in, immediately exposed his credentials. And at that point, the malicious actor went ahead and uploaded dodgy versions to a number of his super popular packages.
Oh, that's poor
Hate
guy.
to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're getting so good at those phishing emails. There's another service I've been using lately, and I get about 3 different phishing. Somehow, I guess it's easy to determine that we're using this software, and I get like
Right.
3 different phishing emails for that every day. And like every time, like today it was one where I was like, oh wow, this one's actually real. Oh no, wrong email address. Yeah, they're getting so good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how you can get saved a lot by whether you're a procrastinator or not. And also, I think it's become way more important nowadays, whatever email you get, to just kind of ignore it and go directly to the website. And if it's legit, the same instruction will likely be from the web interface or something. Because yeah, when you combine a sense of urgency, even smart people, we're all human, we get very easily tricked. And yeah, bad things happen.
Yeah. I realized I wasn't sharing my screen. This relates to the other interesting announcement from Dependabot. We talked about at office hours. So now you can have a minimum package age, which I think is also interesting. So
Ooh,
so that can reduce some of the issue, provided that the vulnerable packages are taken down, then that won't happen.
nice. I had no idea. And for what it's worth, that 2FA phishing scam email the author got, he shared screenshots of it. He shared the whois domains. The domain was registered just a day or so ago, from where we received an email. And this looks like perfect. I would imagine Gmail or various email clients are probably going to look into how old the domain is now when they're receiving emails from 2FA. If it's a minimum age, if it's less than 2 days, maybe doubt it.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I mean, yeah, that's a dimension, that's a factor. It's a arms race, of course, between fishers or whatever you call them, scammers, and
Mhm.
there's the whole other thing, though. You know what marketing companies do, or anybody doing cold email, is they warm domains for many months, sending traffic to each other in an automated fashion. And then that burner domain can be used for anything else later on. So there's still no great solution, but that's one other factor to look at, I suppose. There's a company, ListKit, I keep on seeing, and I think that's what they do. They help people warm their domains that are used just for sending out spam, not spam, but I mean cold emails for B2B products and stuff like that. I get so many of those freaking emails every day. It's annoying.
I can't remember if this is an urban myth or something like that, but I'm almost certain I saw some news about ClearScore or Experian got breached quite recently. And it's like those are the guys you trust to let you know if your credit score's being breached. Now they are getting breached. Where do you go from here?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see if that was true or not. Experian breached.
I, I believe it's been breached more than once, would be my guess.
Oh yeah. I can see many results in Google. The most recent one was just a few months back. Anyway, never mind. This is too depressing.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of the hour here, folks. Thanks for all the great questions. We'll be posting a recording to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/cloudposse with this conversation. So if there's anything interesting, go ahead and share it with your team. Cloud Posse does provide a lot of different support options. That's how we operate as a company. It's how we are able to do all of our open source, is that some small percentage of the companies using our open source, reach out for support. So if that sounds interesting, check out cloudposse.com/support to get unlocked and unblock your team. We have lots of things you can do if you want to get more involved in our community. We have our Slack team, so go to cloudposse.com/Slack to join. It's open to everyone. We have our office hours, like the one that you're listening to today. Get an invite to join these live at cloudposse.com/office hours. We'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place. Have a great rest of your week. Take care.